back on, boys. It's fucked Forza.
Yeah, I fixed my fucking arm.
Darnold, as I was saying, Darnold had a absolute shit game. 111 yards and an interception through 16 for 25. I really had high hopes for Sam Darnold this season, but he's starting to become like one of the worst quarterbacks in the league. Daniel Jones had 203 for a touchdown, not bad from him. Rushing wise, really nothing. Booker had 51 yards and a touchdown, and Hubbard had 28 yards. Receiving wise, Darius Slayton had 5 receptions for 63. What the fuck? Darius Slayton had 5 receptions for 63 yards, and DJ Moore had 6 receptions for 73 yards. Honestly, not that interesting of a game there, but this is a really good game. This next one, Bengals and Ravens. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase lead the way as the Bengals speed past the Ravens. They win by 24, I believe, is what it was. And Jamar Chase easily had the best receiving performance of the year. 201 yards through 8 receptions and a touchdown. One of them an 82-yard receiving touchdown. He literally broke like 6 tackles. It was pretty crazy. Burrow had 416, 3 touchdowns and an interception. One of the better QB performances of the year for sure. Lamar Jackson actually had a pretty solid game, 257 for a touchdown, although the completion percentage wasn't quite there. Running wise, Lamar Jackson once again being the leading rusher for the Ravens, 88 yards carrying, and Joe Mixon, who's like a star running back, only had 59 yards and a touchdown. We're talking about receiving. We already talked about Jamar Chase. He's like the best receiver in the league at this point, leading in receiving yards. Hollywood Brown had 80 yards for a touchdown, so that was a good game from him. Man, this Cincinnati Bengals team, I think they're atop the AFC right now. They like a couple years ago they were like 2-14, and now they already have 3 more wins than they did through 7 games. So I mean, really good start to the season there. Next is Eagles and Raiders. Raiders beat Philly by 11 in the second game under their new coach. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Bisaccia, I think is. And I saw an interview about Derek Carr, like talking about how much he liked Gruden, but obviously he had to resign over what he talked about and stuff like that. So Jalen Hurts had a pretty solid game, 236 yards for 2 touchdowns. Derek Carr had 323 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception off of 91% completion percentage, which for I'm pretty sure that's the best of the year and probably the best that we've seen in a long time. Rushing yards wise, Jalen Hurts was actually the leading rusher for Philadelphia with 61 yards, and Kenyon Drake was the leading rusher for the Raiders with 69 yards and a touchdown. Josh Jacobs has been kind of disappearing all of a sudden for them, but good thing Derek Carr is playing at an MVP level. Receiving wise, it was the day of the tight ends pretty much. Dallas Goedert had 70 yards receiving through 3 catches, and Fabian Moreau had 60 yards for a touchdown through 6 catches. Moving on was the Lions and the Rams. Matthew Stafford played his former team. He threw 3 touchdown passes and beat Jared Goff's Lions by 9 points, which honestly is a really good fight for the Lions. The Lions are winless. I don't think there's any other team in the NFL that's winless. There might be. I don't really know, actually. But Stafford, another MVP type performance for him, 334 for 3 touchdowns. Goff had 268, a touchdown and 2 interceptions, which without those interceptions, I mean, he'd have a pretty solid performance. Running wise, Darnell Henderson had 45 yards rushing, and Williams had 50. Jamal Williams, former Packer, had 57 yards rushing. Receiving wise, Raymond had 115 yards, and Cooper Kupp continuing to have a really good year, 156 yards with 2 touchdowns from him. Next, we're going to move on to the Texans and the Cardinals game. J.J. Watt and DeAndre Hopkins playing their former teams. Cardinals moved to 7-0 for the season. They roll past the Texans, winning by 26. Mills had 135 yards and pretty much nothing else. Pretty bad game from him, honestly. A Sam Darnold level game, honestly. Kyler Murray had 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Pretty solid game from him. Chase Edmonds had 81 yards rushing, and I don't know who Houston's running back is, actually. It might be Dennis Johnson. David Johnson, I think, because they actually got him from the Cardinals in the J.J. Water Hopkins trade. So Johnson is also was also playing his former team that day. Collins from Houston at 28 yards receiving. That's about all they had. Mills didn't really do much. Zach Ertz on tight end day, 66 yards for a touchdown. Threw 3 receptions, and that is actually his debut game as a Cardinal. He was on the Eagles. And literally the night after they played, he got traded. Next is Bears and Buccaneers. Brady tops 600 career touchdown passes. Buccaneers root the Bears by 35. I mean, Justin Fields just, again, not much time in the pocket. It's been like a recurring problem the whole year. 184 yards, 3 receptions. I mean, interceptions. He's been kind of forced to throw bad balls and just getting picked off. So it's a big problem. Tom Brady, and only 211 yards passing at 4 touchdowns, which I thought was kind of insane. Rushing wise, Khalil Herbert continuing to have a good rookie campaign for the Bears. He had 100 yards rushing. Leonard Fournette had 81 yards and a touchdown. Receiving wise for the Bears, Cole Kmet had 47 yards, and Chris Godwin had 111 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, I think this is the final game we're going to talk about. We have the Colts and the 49ers, which kind of shocked me. The Colts are kind of shocking the world right now. You know, their season isn't over. Wentz leads the Colts to a rain-soaked, really rainy game. Some of my relatives actually went to the game, and the Colts won by 12, which was really unexpected. But yeah, Carson Wentz had 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, enough to win. You can't complain. Really not like a crazy game. Garoppolo had 181 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Just a bad game for Garoppolo. They need to give Trey Lance a chance. Rushing-wise, Jonathan Taylor and Elijah Mitchell had the same stat line of 18 carries for 107 yards and a touchdown. So at least the running was good for both teams. Receiving-wise, Deebo Samuel continuing to have a good year, 100 yards and a touchdown. And Michael Pittman, the second-year guy, had 105 yards for a touchdown. So that is